This week on Undercover Boss, the youngest CEO to ever go undercover steps into the spotlight. Meet Sarah Matthews, the dynamic and fierce president of SweetDelight Inc., the renowned bakery chain famous for its signature cinnamon rolls. Sarah, a woman who commands boardrooms and makes decisions that impact thousands, is about to embark on a humbling and emotional journey. Posing as a contestant on a fake reality show aimed at giving aspiring bakers seed money for their own business, Sarah is determined to see her company from a completely different perspective. But this isn't Sarah's first venture into the world of food. Before she climbed the corporate ladder, she worked her way up from the bottom in restaurants like Hometown Grill, where she was a hostess waitress and then a manager. The hospitality industry shaped her, and though SweetDelight Inc. is a far cry from those early days, Sarah never forgot her roots. However, the success that comes with leading a large company often means becoming disconnected from the heart of the business, the employees. Sarah's journey begins with a conversation with her former mentor, Marcus Jordan, the former CEO of Hometown Grill. Before diving into the undercover world, she seeks his advice, looking for some guidance and emotional strength. Marcus is no stranger to the challenges of leading a massive company, and his words offer Sarah valuable insight. "Sarah, you're about to embark on a ride that will change everything," Marcus tells her. "Trust me, it's not as easy as it seems, it's not scripted, and at times it's going to break your heart. But remember this, when you go undercover, don't just look at the business, look at the people. What you're really about to experience is something you can't get from a boardroom or a quarterly report." The conversation strikes a chord with Sarah. She realizes that the people working behind the counters in the kitchens and on the bakery floors are the true pulse of SweetDelight. Marcus's words linger in her mind as she prepares to take on a new identity. Sophia Lee, an aspiring baker, looking for funding to launch her own cupcake shop. Sarah's first shift undercover takes place in a SweetDelight location in the heart of New York City. Her mission is clear. She's here to observe to see if the changes the company has made in recent months are truly being executed at the ground level. And while it may be a business mission, it's clear that it will be an emotional journey that could very well change her forever. In her new role as Sophia, Sarah is about to experience firsthand the challenges and triumphs of the employees she's been leading from a distance. What she doesn't know is that these encounters will force her to confront the very nature of leadership, personal growth, and her connection to the people who make SweetDelight a household name. Sarah Matthews, born and raised in the bustling city of Chicago, never imagined she would one day be the president of one of the largest bakery chains in the world. Growing up in a modest household, she was no stranger to struggle. Her father, a Vietnam War veteran, returned from the war deeply changed. Despite his best efforts, he was often distant and struggled with his own demons, making family life difficult. Her mother, strong and determined, had to hold everything together. It was her resilience that left the biggest impression on Sarah, shaping the woman she would become. When Sarah was just 9 years old, her mother made a brave decision. She took Sarah and her two younger sisters and moved them to a new city in order to start fresh, with little more than their belongings and a tight budget. Sarah's mother worked tirelessly to provide for her girls. At one point, she was feeding the family on just $10 a week. It was a hardship that would later become Sarah's driving force. "I learned from her that when life knocks you down, you stand up," Sarah recalls. "My mom never gave up. She did whatever it took, even when there seemed to be no way out." From a young age, Sarah took on responsibility. At just 16, she took a part-time job at a local diner to help out at home. Her work ethic was clear, and it wasn't long before she was promoted to shift leader. The restaurant business quickly became her world, and she found herself thriving in it. However, her ambitions didn't stop there. At the age of 19, Sarah landed a job at Hometown Grill, a growing chain of family restaurants. Starting as a hostess, Sarah was soon promoted to a Hooters girl, then bartender, and eventually to certified trainer and shift leader. It wasn't an easy road, but Sarah was determined to climb the ladder. At Hometown Grill, I learned that the restaurant business isn't just about serving food, it's about making people feel welcome, creating experiences. I loved it. I realized that I had found my place, Sarah reflects. But the road wasn't all smooth. In her early 20s, she faced challenges in balancing her job and college, ultimately deciding to drop out to focus on her career. She climbed the ranks quickly, showing her leadership potential and unique ability to connect with people, which set her apart from others in the company. By 26, she had become vice president, a position that placed her at the heart of company decisions. The restaurant industry moves fast. It's a world of constant change, but I love the thrill of it. Every decision could make or break the business, and I thrived on that pressure. However, Sarah's true break came when she was recruited by SweetDelight Inc. After a few years of consulting for various brands, she was offered the position of president of SweetDelight at just 32 years old. The company was already a well-known brand, but Sarah saw potential for growth that no one else seemed to see. In her first year, Sarah helped SweetDelight expand internationally, partnering with major brands and creating new product lines. The company's revenue soared, and SweetDelight became a household name renowned for its signature cinnamon rolls and delicious bakery treats. But with success came the detachment from the day-to-day workings of the bakery floors. Sarah found herself increasingly involved in corporate meetings, boardrooms, and partnerships, losing sight of the challenges her employees faced on the front lines. She had always prided herself on her ability to connect with people, but the higher she climbed, the harder it became to stay in touch with her team. As Sarah reflects on her journey, she realizes the emotional distance that has developed between her and the people who help SweetDelight grow. When you're in charge, it's easy to forget what it's like to be in the trenches. I've been so focused on the business, I've lost touch with the people making it run every day. Sarah knows that something has to change. She's been a successful executive, but the time has come to reconnect with her roots. She's about to embark on a journey that will change everything. Undercover Boss is her opportunity to return to the bakery floor, to hear the stories of her employees firsthand, and to understand the true impact of her leadership. What she doesn't realize yet is that this experience will reshape her both as a CEO and as a person. In this journey, Sarah is going to learn that leadership isn't just about numbers and profits. It's about people, and it's the people behind Sweet Delight who will inspire the change that is so desperately needed. Before Sarah Matthews dives into her undercover journey at Sweet Delight, she knows she needs guidance. This isn't just any mission, this is the opportunity to reconnect with the heart of her company, the employees who make it all possible. And so she reaches out to someone who's been there, done that, her former mentor, Marcus Stone, the ex-CEO of Hometown Grill. Marcus had been a guiding light throughout her early years in the restaurant business. And now, as Sarah prepares for the emotional roller coaster of going undercover, she needs his advice more than ever. "I'm nervous, Marcus. I know this is going to be tough," Sarah admits, the weight of the upcoming experience settling on her shoulders. She's used to being in control, used to giving orders and making decisions. But this is different. This time, she'll be in the trenches, just another employee learning firsthand what the workers at Sweet Delight go through every single day. Marcus chuckles warmly on the other end of the phone. "I get it, Sarah. It's not as easy as it looks. Undercover Boss is no joke. You're going to see things you never imagined, both the good and the bad. And yes, it's going to be emotional. But it's also the most rewarding thing you'll ever do. Trust me." Sarah listens intently, knowing that Marcus's experience is something she can lean on. He's been through it all, the highs, the lows, the emotional connections that come with seeing your business from the ground level. As the former CEO of a large restaurant chain, Marcus has a unique understanding of what it's like to have to make hard decisions while trying to balance the needs of the employees, customers, and bottom lines. Just remember this, Sarah Marcus says with quiet conviction. The people you'll meet aren't just employees. They're real people with real struggles. Don't forget that you're not there to judge them. You're there to understand them, to learn from them, and to give them what they deserve: respect, guidance, and a chance to succeed. His words resonate deeply with Sarah. She's always prided herself on being a compassionate leader, but this will be different. It's one thing to manage from behind a desk in a corporate office. It's another to stand side by side with the very people who keep the business running, facing the challenges they face every day. Are you ready for the emotional part of it? Marcus asks, his tone softening. Because when you start hearing their stories, it's going to hit you in ways you won't expect. It might even change how you see your company. Sarah takes a deep breath. I know it will. And that's why I'm doing this. I need to understand what's really going on at the bakery level. I can't fix what I don't know. Marcus pauses for a moment before speaking again. You're going to do great, but don't be afraid to let your guard down. Let the people you meet see the real you. They'll respect that. With those final words, Sarah feels a sense of calm wash over her. She's ready. As she prepares to leave for the first undercover shift, she feels the weight of the mission on her shoulders. This is her chance to reconnect with her employees, to understand their struggles, and to make real lasting change at SweetDelight. She's not just going undercover to observe. She's going undercover to listen, to learn, and to change her company for the better. As she wraps up her conversation with Marcus, Sarah hangs up the phone, takes one last look at her reflection, and smiles. Here we go, she says to herself. Time to listen, time to learn, time to lead. She heads out the door, ready to begin the undercover journey that will reshape her understanding of leadership and business, and perhaps even change the course of SweetDelight's future. Sarah Matthews enters the SweetDelight Bakery in Paramus, New Jersey, with one goal in mind: to truly understand the daily grind of her employees and see firsthand how the company's policies and procedures are playing out on the floor. Posing as Sophia Lee, an aspiring baker competing for seed money to open her own cupcake shop, Sarah is ready to immerse herself in the fast-paced environment of SweetDelight. She's nervous. No amount of experience or executive training could prepare her for what lies ahead. Today, she's not the president of SweetDelight calling the shots from a cushy office. No, today she is just another employee wearing an apron, working the counter, and trying to keep up with the demands of the bakery. Sarah is about to step into the shoes of her employees, and she knows it's going to be eye-opening. Hi, I'm Sophia. Nice to meet you. She greets Myra, a young employee who's been with SweetDelight for a little over a year. Myra's energy is infectious, and Sarah immediately notices the warmth and charm in her approach with customers. You'll be working with me today, Myra says, smiling brightly. First things first, always make sure to greet the guests with a big smile and offer them a drink or an extra topping. It's all about upselling, you know. Sarah nods, trying to absorb as much information as she can in this fast-paced environment. She follows Myra's lead, trying to balance the task of making sure every customer feels welcome and making sure every order is accurate. Myra's tips are invaluable, and Sarah finds herself learning quickly. But as the day progresses, Sarah begins to see the cracks in the system. While Myra expertly manages the counter and upsells with ease, Sarah notices that there's little to no guidance when it comes to the production side of things. The employees are rushing to fill orders, but some of the equipment is malfunctioning, and the stress of keeping up with demand is taking a toll on their efficiency. At one point, Sarah is asked to help frost the signature cinnamon rolls. Myra quickly shows her how it's done, But Sarah struggles to keep up with the speed and precision required. She accidentally smears frosting onto the counter, and it's clear that the process isn't as simple as she had imagined. Myra looks over at her, offering a reassuring smile. Don't worry about it. It takes practice. We're all learning as we go, but Sarah can't help but feel the weight of the inefficiencies around her. The workers, although dedicated, are often working without the proper training or support. It's clear that they're being pushed to move quickly, but in doing so, the quality of the product is sometimes compromised. Later in the day, Sarah works alongside another employee, Miguel, who's been with SweetDelight for several years. Miguel's energy and commitment are undeniable, but Sarah soon realizes that he's burning out. He's been promoted to supervisor, but with little to no leadership training. Miguel is struggling to manage the team effectively. We need to get these orders out faster, but the line isn't working properly. Miguel says, frustration creeping into his voice as he tries to fix the malfunctioning oven. It's like every time we fix one problem, another one pops up. Sarah watches as Miguel runs around trying to fix the equipment while also handling the cash register, assisting customers, and supervising the team. He's doing the best he can, but it's clear that he's overwhelmed. Later, when the shift winds down, Sarah has a brief conversation with Miguel. How long have you been in your role? She asks, genuinely curious. About 6 months, Miguel replies. I was promoted to supervisor because I've been here for a while, but honestly, I don't feel like I'm ready for the role. No one really taught me how to lead a team. I just sort of figured it out as I went. Sarah feels a pang of sympathy for Miguel. She's been so focused on improving business metrics and expanding the brand that she's forgotten the importance of proper training and leadership development. Miguel's story is not unique. The more Sarah listens, the more she realizes that many of the employees at SweetDelight are struggling in their roles because they've been given little to no training or support. As the day comes to an end, Sarah reflects on her experience. She's only been on the floor for a few hours, but it's already clear to her that there are significant gaps in the system. Employees like Myra Miguel and many others are doing their best, but they're being asked to do the impossible without the right tools, training, or leadership to help them succeed. For the first time in a long time, Sarah feels disconnected from her company. She's used to making decisions from the top down, but now she sees how those decisions impact the employees at the ground level. They are the ones who keep SweetDelight running, and yet they don't always feel supported or valued. The experience has opened Sarah's eyes to the real challenges her employees face, and it's clear to her now that the company needs a major shift. But Sarah knows that the changes she wants to make won't be easy. The road ahead is long and the challenges are immense, but she's determined to make it right. As Sarah heads home that night, she reflects on the day's events. I've got a lot to think about, she says to herself, her mind racing with ideas for change. And tomorrow I'll see even more. I can't wait to learn more, because this is just the beginning. The next day, Sarah arrives at another SweetDelight location, this time in a bustling shopping mall. The location is small, nestled between a few retail stores, but the atmosphere is vibrant. It's the perfect place to observe how her employees are interacting with the customers, how they deal with the pressure of constant foot traffic, while maintaining the quality of service and product that SweetDelight is known for. Today she's paired with Maya, a young woman in her early 20s who's been working at SweetDelight for a year. Maya greets her with a smile that radiates energy, a contrast to Sarah's own nervousness as she adjusts her apron. You must be the new recruit, Maya says, her eyes twinkling. Ready to see how we make the magic happen? Sarah smiles, trying to match her enthusiasm. Absolutely. I've never worked in a bakery before, so I'm excited to learn. As the shift begins, Sarah quickly realizes that Maya's positivity isn't just for show. She's genuinely committed to providing great service. The way she interacts with customers is seamless, effortlessly upselling extra frosting or drinks always with a smile. But as Sarah watches, she also notices the challenges Maya faces. The constant rush of customers means Maya has to keep her pace up, and sometimes she struggles to handle it all while maintaining her upbeat demeanor. I noticed you're juggling a lot of tasks, Sarah says during a quieter moment between customers. How do you manage all of this? Maya shrugs with a laugh. It's part of the job, right? I love the energy here, but it can get overwhelming. Sometimes it feels like you're just running in circles, trying to keep up with orders and customers. Sarah nods, sensing that Maya's cheerful attitude hides some of the stress she's under. Maya continues, I think it's tough because we don't always have enough help. We're a small team, and some days it feels like we're just one person short of making everything run smoothly. But I just try to keep smiling and make sure the guests leave happy. Do you get a lot of support from your manager? Sarah asks. Maya hesitates for a moment, her smile faltering slightly. Honestly, it's hit or miss. Our manager is usually busy with the back end stuff, and we don't always get the guidance we need on the floor. It's kind of like, do your job, keep the line moving. And that's it. But we all do our best. Sarah feels a pang of sympathy for Maya. She's clearly dedicated to her job, but the lack of support and training is holding her back from reaching her full potential. She's doing everything she can to keep customers happy, but it's clear that she's being stretched too thin. This experience is opening Sarah's eyes to the crucial issue within Sweet Delight employees like Maya are working hard but aren't getting the tools or the guidance they need to thrive. As the day continues, Sarah sees more of the same. Employees are rushing around doing their best, but there's a sense of chaos in the air. The kitchen staff is short on time and resources, and the frontline workers are trying to balance customer service with the pressure to maintain speed and quality. Sarah begins to understand the underlying issue. Sweet Delight has grown rapidly, but the infrastructure, particularly in terms of employee support and training, hasn't kept up. After the lunch rush, Sarah sits down with Maya again, eager to learn more. Tell me about your journey with Sweet Delight. How did you end up here? Maya's eyes soften as she recounts her story. I came from a small town in Georgia. My family didn't have a lot, but we always made do. I moved here looking for a fresh start and found this job at Sweet Delight. I had no idea what I was getting into, but I loved the idea of working in a bakery. My mom used to bake cinnamon rolls, and it always reminded me of home. Sarah listens intently, her heart aching as Maya continues. But it hasn't been easy. When I first started, I was really struggling to keep up. I had no idea how fast-paced it would be. I felt like I was always behind, and the training wasn't enough, but I didn't give up. I worked hard, learned on the job, and eventually, I got the hang of it. But I wish there was more support. I feel like I could do better if I had more guidance. Her words hit home for Sarah. Maya's story is one of perseverance, but it also reveals the cracks in the system. Sweet Delight has grown into a huge success, but its foundation, its people are being pushed to the limit without the resources they need to succeed. Maya is doing everything she can, but she's clearly being asked to do more than what she's been trained for. Later, Sarah takes a step back, looking at the bigger picture. It's not just Maya who is struggling. She's seen the same issues at multiple locations. Sweet Delight's success has come at a cost, and that cost is the well-being and support of its employees. They are working tirelessly to uphold the brand's reputation, but without the proper infrastructure in place, they're at risk of burning out. As Sarah leaves the bakery that night, she feels a sense of urgency. She can't keep going in this direction. She needs to take action. The employees, people like Maya, are the lifeblood of Sweet Delight. If she's going to continue building the company, she needs to make sure they're properly supported, trained, and equipped to succeed. In the quiet of her car, Sarah reflects on the day's lessons. This isn't just about improving the product, it's about improving the people behind it. She takes a deep breath. The road ahead is clear. She's going to fight for the people who've been fighting for SweetDelight all along. It's time to put them first, and she's just getting started. The days of Sarah's undercover journey are blending together, and the more she immerses herself in the daily grind of SweetDelight, the clearer it becomes. There's a disconnect between the company's top leadership and the employees who form the backbone of its success. Sarah's once perfect view from the boardroom has been shattered, replaced by a raw, unfiltered look at the challenges faced by her team every single day. Today, Sarah is assigned to work with Alan, a longtime employee who has risen to the position of assistant manager. Alan's been with SweetDelight for over 7 years, and though he's proven his loyalty and skill, Sarah quickly realizes that he's feeling the weight of the company's fast-paced demands. His energy is palpable, but there's an underlying tension in his posture and voice. As Sarah steps into the kitchen, she's immediately struck by the chaos. There are several orders piling up, and Alan is struggling to manage the staff while trying to maintain the quality that SweetDelight is known for. The kitchen is a whirlwind of activity, staff scrambling to frost the cinnamon rolls, the oven timer ticking down, and the register constantly chiming with new orders. Sarah watches as Alan barks out instructions to the crew, his tone increasingly sharp. "Alan, what's going on? Why is everyone so stressed?" Sarah asks, trying to offer a sympathetic ear. He glances over at her, a tired smile on his face. "You get used to it, Sophia. The job is great, but sometimes it feels like we're drowning. There's a lot to juggle and we're understaffed. Management wants the quality to stay high, but they don't always provide the resources we need to keep up with demand." Sarah nods, noting the strain in his voice. "Do you feel like you have the support you need from the higher-ups?" Alan lets out a deep sigh. "Honestly, no, I've worked my tail off to get where I am, but I'm constantly firefighting. It's like we're always behind, always catching up. When we get behind, we get yelled at. But it's not like anyone's helping us get ahead of the curve." Sarah's heart sinks. She's hearing the frustration in Alan's voice, but it's also clear that he doesn't feel empowered to make real changes. His role has become a revolving door of handling immediate issues without ever addressing the root causes. The lack of support and the endless pressure are taking a toll on his spirit. Later, when things quiet down a bit, Sarah pulls Alan aside for a more personal conversation. She wants to understand not just the logistics of the job, but the emotional weight it carries for him and his team. "Tell me, Alan, how did you end up here?" Sarah asks, genuinely curious. Alan looks at her, then shifts his gaze to the kitchen as if searching for the words. "I started as a cashier when I was in high school. I was just looking for a job, but I liked the fast pace. I liked the people, and it felt like a family here. So I stayed on. But as I moved up the ladder, I started to see the cracks in the system. I've put in the time, but it feels like I'm doing everything by the seat of my pants. There's no real leadership training, and sometimes it feels like they expect us to figure it out without much guidance." Sarah listens closely, feeling a pang of empathy. She knows the company has been focused on expanding, on innovating, but hearing Alan's experience makes her realize that, in the process, they've overlooked the most crucial aspect of all: investing in the people who are running the business day in and day out. Without the right training and support, the very foundation of SweetDelight is starting to crumble. As Sarah continues her shift, she notices the same pattern everywhere, from the staff on the front lines to those working behind the scenes. Everyone is working harder than ever, but there's an underlying sense of burnout. The pressure to keep up with the fast-paced environment is overwhelming, and without proper resources or guidance, many employees are falling short of their potential. They're frustrated, stressed, and in some cases, feeling invisible. As Sarah reflects on her time at SweetDelight, she's struck by a deep realization. She's been so focused on driving the business forward, on pushing for growth and innovation, that she's ignored the human side of things, the people who make that growth possible. The truth is, Sweet Delight's success has come at the cost of its employees' well-being. They're being asked to do more with less, and it's no surprise that many of them are struggling. That night, as Sarah sits alone in her hotel room, she can't shake the images of Alan and the other employees. She thinks about the years of dedication they've poured into the company, only to be left feeling unsupported and overburdened. This has to change, she tells herself. I can't just go back to the office and pretend everything is fine. We need to do better. I need to do better. She knows that the challenges are far from over. The road ahead will require hard decisions and changes that will take time to implement. But for the first time, Sarah feels ready to tackle the issue head on. She's seen the reality of Sweet Delight's operations, and it's clear that the company needs to invest in its people before it can continue to grow. Tomorrow she will go back to work with the team, but this time she'll do it with a different mindset. She won't just be a CEO observing from the outside, she will be a leader who is willing to roll up her sleeves and get to work on the most important task of all, fixing the company from the inside out. As Sarah continues her undercover journey, the emotional weight of the experience begins to settle in. Every day she works alongside employees who share their personal stories and struggles, and each conversation pulls at her heart. It's one thing to read about employee satisfaction reports or hear about company issues in a boardroom. It's entirely different to listen to the human stories behind the numbers. Today, Sarah is assigned to work with Chloe, a young employee who's been at Sweet Delight for about 2 years. Chloe's upbeat personality stands in stark contrast to the stress Sarah can see in her eyes. While Sarah's training focuses on customer service and upselling products, she's also becoming acutely aware of how much emotional labor is involved in the work. It's not just about making cinnamon rolls or serving customers. It's about managing the pressure, the expectations, and the ever-present feeling of being on display. Chloe is moving quickly behind the counter, serving customers with a friendly smile, but Sarah can see the exhaustion beneath the surface. At one point, as the line begins to slow, Sarah pulls Chloe aside. "Chloe, you've been going non-stop all day. How are you holding up?" Sarah asks gently, hoping to make the conversation feel less formal. Chloe hesitates for a moment, but then the floodgates open. "Honestly, I'm just so tired," she admits. "I'm trying to keep it together, but sometimes it feels like I'm doing everything I can and it's still not enough. I want to be the best I can be for the customers and for the company, but I'm only human." Sarah's heart sinks. Chloe is clearly doing her best, but it's taking a toll on her. "You've been here for a couple of years, right?" Sarah asks, trying to get a sense of her journey with the company. "Yeah, I started here right after high school. I thought it would be a good place to get my feet wet, maybe save some money and figure out what I wanted to do next," Chloe says, her voice tinged with a sense of doubt. "But the longer I've been here, the more I realize it's harder to get ahead. We're expected to be fast to keep the line moving. But sometimes I don't feel like we're given the support we need to do that." Sarah listens closely, her mind racing. She's hearing the same themes again and again. Employees who are giving everything they have but aren't being provided with the tools, training, or support they need to succeed. Chloe's words mirror what Sarah has already heard from others, but there's something different about hearing them from Chloe's perspective. A young woman who started with ambition but now feels stuck in a system that isn't working for her. "Chloe, I can see how much you care about this job," Sarah says softly. "But you shouldn't have to sacrifice your well-being just to do it. You're doing great work, but you deserve to be supported. That's something we can fix. I promise." Chloe looks at Sarah, her eyes filling with tears. "I just feel like I've been stuck in this position, you know. There's no room for growth, and it's hard to stay motivated when you feel like you're not going anywhere." Sarah is struck by the weight of Chloe's words. She's heard this frustration from employees at other locations, but hearing it from someone so young with so much potential hits differently. Chloe doesn't just need better training or more resources, she needs hope. She needs to believe that there's a future at Sweet Delight, a place where she can grow, develop, and be recognized for her hard work. As the day progresses, Sarah continues to work alongside Chloe, but now she sees her in a different light. She no longer just sees Chloe as an employee at Sweet Delight, she sees a young woman with dreams, aspirations, and a desire for more. Chloe's story isn't just one of burnout, it's a story of unfulfilled potential, and Sarah knows that something needs to change. Later in the shift, Sarah finds herself standing in the break room lost in thought. Chloe's words keep replaying in her mind. She's heard the stories of many employees now, and they're all starting to paint the same picture, a picture of hard work and dedication, but also of frustration and stagnation. Sweet Delight's success has come at a cost, and that cost is the mental and emotional well-being of the people who make that success possible. When the shift ends, Sarah takes a quiet walk around the mall trying to clear her head. She knows that the changes needed at Sweet Delight go beyond just operational adjustments. They need a cultural shift, one that prioritizes the well-being of the employees just as much as the bottom line. Without them, there is no company. Without their energy, passion, and dedication, Sweet Delight wouldn't be the brand it is today. As Sarah walks, she reflects on everything she's learned so far. This experience has opened her eyes to the reality of what's happening within her company. She can no longer ignore the human side of the business. It's not enough to just provide products, she needs to provide opportunity, support, and a culture of growth for every employee. That's the only way to truly move Sweet Delight forward. By the time Sarah returns to her hotel room that night, she's made a decision. We need to fix this, she tells herself. We need to invest in our people, give them the training, the respect, and the growth they deserve. We can't just be a company that makes cinnamon rolls. We have to be a company that makes a difference in people's lives. And with that, Sarah resolves to take action. Her mission is no longer just about observing, it's about creating change. The road ahead is clear, but it won't be easy. It's time to lead Sweet Delight into a new era, one where its employees are at the center of everything. The undercover journey has been an eye-opening experience for Sarah Matthews. As she prepares to reveal her true identity to the employees she has worked alongside, her heart races. The time has come to show them who she really is, the president of Sweet Delight, the very person they've been working hard to support and the one who now holds the responsibility for the changes that need to happen. Sarah stands in the break room watching the employees gather for the final segment of the fake reality show they've all been part of. The moment is surreal. She has spent days alongside these people, listening to their stories, understanding their struggles, and learning about the things that matter most to them. Now it's time to show them the truth. Hey everyone, thanks for being so great throughout this whole process. Sarah still posing as Sophia says to the group, I've learned so much, and I really appreciate all of you taking the time to help me learn about what it's like working in the bakery business. The employees who have been so kind and welcoming nod in agreement, eager to hear what the next steps will be. But there's an air of anticipation. The employees have no idea what's coming. Sarah takes a deep breath and finally says, There's something I need to tell you all. I'm not actually just a contestant trying to start my own business. I'm actually the CEO of Sweet Delight, Sarah Matthews. The room falls silent for a moment as Sarah's words sink in. The employees exchange confused glances, some of them squinting as though trying to process the truth. They're shocked. They're bewildered. The woman they've been working alongside, who seems so humble and dedicated to learning, is actually the very person at the top of the company. One employee, Maya, gasps. Wait, you're… The CEO, she asks incredulously, eyes wide. Yes, I am, Sarah responds, offering a warm but genuine smile. And I want to thank all of you for being so open with me. I've been working undercover to understand what's really going on in our company, and what I've seen here has been both eye-opening and humbling. There's a moment of stunned silence before Sarah continues, her voice steady but filled with sincerity. I've seen the dedication, the hard work, and the love that each of you puts into your job every day. And I've also seen the challenges you face, the pressure, the burnout, the lack of support. And I want to tell you, it's not okay. It's not your fault. And I promise we're going to make changes to fix it. Sarah's heart beats faster as she watches the employees start to process what she's saying. There's a mix of disbelief, confusion, and relief in their eyes. It's clear that they never expected to be in the presence of the CEO, let alone have the chance to speak with her directly about the issues they've been facing for so long. Maya is the first to speak up again. So you heard everything we said? She asks, still in shock. All the stuff we've been talking about the training, the stress, the lack of support. I heard every word, Sarah confirms, her voice soft but firm. And I want you to know that I am deeply sorry for not realizing the full extent of what you've been going through. I've been too far removed from the daily operations to see how hard it really is. But now that I understand, I am committed to making things right. The employees begin to exchange glances, some nodding, others wiping away tears. The raw emotions Sarah has seen over the past few days are now coming to the surface, and it's clear that her words are striking a chord with them. I want to make sure that everyone here has the support and training they need to succeed. Sarah continues, her voice steady and full of determination. We're going to overhaul our training systems, improve leadership development, and ensure that every employee feels valued, respected, and equipped to do their job. Sarah looks around the room, her eyes meeting each employee's gaze. You are the heart of this company, and I promise that we are going to take better care of you. That starts now. There's a pause, and then slowly, a round of applause breaks out. The employees are still processing the revelation, but now there's hope in their eyes. Sarah Matthews, their CEO, has not only heard their struggles, but is actively working to make things better. Maya steps forward, her voice trembling with emotion. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for listening to us. I don't think we've ever had someone really listen before. Sarah smiles warmly, her heart swelling with gratitude. Thank you all for sharing your stories with me. It's not always easy to speak up, but you did. And now it's my turn to make sure your voices are heard in the boardroom. We're going to create a company where everyone feels like they matter. As Sarah stands in front of the group, she feels a renewed sense of purpose. This isn't just about improving products or expanding the brand. It's about transforming Sweet Delight into a company where employees are at the center of everything. It's about creating a culture that values people over profits and making sure that every employee has the tools and support to succeed. The first step has been taken, and Sarah knows this is just the beginning. She's no longer just the CEO in an office. She's a leader who understands her employees, who listens to their needs, and who is ready to lead them toward a brighter future. The moment is powerful, but the real work begins now. The changes that Sarah promised will take time, but they will be the foundation for Sweet Delight's success moving forward. As Sarah looks around at her team, she feels a deep sense of gratitude and a firm resolve to make sure the company's future is one where every employee's potential is fully realized. And that, for Sarah Matthews, is the true meaning of leadership. The reveal of Sarah's true identity has been a whirlwind of emotions. As the employees absorb the shock of discovering that the woman they've been working with is actually the CEO, Sarah watches them carefully, hoping that her sincerity and commitment to change shine through. For the first time, she feels deeply connected to the team that has been running Sweet Delight, and she knows that this moment is not just about her, it's about them. I know this is a lot to process. Sarah begins, her voice steady, but filled with empathy. But now that we're all on the same page, I want to do something special for each of you. I know we've got a lot of work to do to make things better, but I also want to make sure you feel supported right now in this moment. The employees are quiet, many of them still grappling with the shock of her revelation, but there's a sense of hope in the air, hope that things are finally going to change. Sarah turns to Myra, the bright-eyed young employee she worked with earlier. Myra had shared her story with Sarah, revealing the struggles she'd faced with her family, including caring for her mother through a difficult battle with breast cancer. Sarah had been moved by Myra's resilience, and now standing before her, Sarah feels compelled to do more than just offer words of encouragement. Myra, I know how much you've been through. Sarah begins softly, and I want to help make things a little easier for you. I know how much your family means to you, and I'd like to offer you something special today. I'm going to give you $10,000 to help with any expenses or financial pressures you've been dealing with. And I want to help your mother with a cancer fundraiser. I'm going to partner with you to raise funds for breast cancer research, and SweetDelight will match every dollar raised. Myra's eyes widen in disbelief, and for a moment, she's silent, her hand pressed to her chest as if trying to comprehend the magnitude of what Sarah has just offered. I, I, I don't know what to say, Myra stammers, her voice trembling. This means so much to me, Sarah. You have no idea how much this will help. Sarah smiles warmly. I do. I understand more than you think. You deserve this. Myra, you've worked so hard, and I want to make sure you have what you need to take care of your family. As Sarah moves through the room, she turns her attention to Alan, the assistant manager who had shared his own frustrations about the lack of support and training in his role. Sarah can see how hard he's been working, juggling multiple responsibilities without the guidance he needs to succeed. He's clearly doing his best, but there's so much more potential in him, potential that's been stifled by the company's shortcomings. Alan, I know you've been carrying a heavy load, Sarah says as she approaches him, and I want to make sure you're properly supported moving forward. I'm promoting you to a full management position, and I'm going to provide you with leadership training to help you develop into the kind of manager you want to be. You deserve the tools to succeed. Alan's eyes widen and he looks almost stunned for a moment. You're promoting me, he asks, his voice filled with disbelief. I never thought I'd get the chance. Thank you, Sarah. This means more than you know. Sarah smiles, proud to see the spark of hope in his eyes. You've earned it, Alan. You've shown the drive and dedication that SweetDelight needs, and it's time you had the training and support to back that up. Sarah's heart swells as she continues to offer her support to the rest of the employees. To Maya, she offers a paid week off so she can recharge and spend time with her family. To Miguel, she gives a special bonus to show appreciation for his dedication and ambition to become a future franchise owner. Sarah makes sure each person feels recognized and valued, not just as employees, but as individuals with dreams, struggles, and aspirations. But Sarah's support doesn't stop there. She looks at each employee in the room and realizes how important it is to make changes that will last. The one-time gestures are meaningful, but real change will come from creating an environment where employees are supported, trained, and valued at every level. And that's exactly what Sarah plans to do. I know there's a lot of work ahead of us, Sarah says, looking around the room at her team. But I want you all to know that I'm committed to doing whatever it takes to make SweetDelight the best place it can be, not just for our customers, but for each and every one of you. We are going to implement new training programs, create more opportunities for growth, and make sure that every single person here feels supported and empowered. The employees nod in agreement, their faces filled with a mixture of relief and excitement. They've seen the changes before they've heard promises, but Sarah's words feel different. She's not just talking about improvements, she's backing them up with real action. I believe in all of you. Sarah continues, her voice filled with conviction, and together we're going to make Sweet Delight a company that truly values its people. Thank you for everything you do. I'm proud to be working with you all. As Sarah finishes speaking, she feels a deep sense of fulfillment. For the first time in a long while, she feels like she's not just the CEO of a corporation. She's the leader of a company that is about to undergo a transformation, not just in how it operates, but in how it treats the people who make it all possible. The journey has just begun, but Sarah knows that with the support of her team, Sweet Delight is about to enter a new era, and this time it will be a company where people come first. As the days pass, Sarah Matthews finds herself deeply changed by the undercover experience. She's seen her company through the eyes of the people who work on the front lines, the people who make Sweet Delight. The brand it is today, but beyond the daily tasks and business operations, it's the personal stories of her employees that have left the biggest impact. Each conversation, each shared struggle has reshaped her understanding of leadership and success. After revealing her true identity to the employees, Sarah has kept her promise. She's offered financial support, promoted key team members, and initiated new training programs. But Sarah knows that real transformation goes beyond gestures of goodwill. It requires sustained effort, a cultural shift, and the willingness to challenge old ways of doing things. Now sitting in her office back at the corporate headquarters, Sarah reflects on the changes that are already starting to take shape. The support she's provided to her employees has given them a sense of hope, but it's also motivated Sarah to act on the long-term improvement Sweet Delight so desperately needs. She opens a notebook filled with ideas she's written down during her undercover journey. The pages are filled with notes about employee well-being, support systems, and opportunities for growth. Sarah's heart is full as she reads through them. These aren't just business strategies, they're commitments to her team. This isn't just about profits anymore, Sarah thinks to herself. It's about creating a company where employees feel seen, heard, and valued. It's about nurturing talent, giving people a chance to grow, and building a culture of respect. She smiles to herself, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. The changes she started are just the beginning. There's a long road ahead, and not every challenge will be easy to overcome. But Sarah is confident that with the support of her team, SweetDelight will not only thrive, it will become a model of what it means to lead with integrity and care for the people behind the brand. As Sarah sits back in her chair, she reflects on the advice Marcus Stone, her former mentor, gave her before she started this undercover journey. "You're going to be a better person because of this, Sarah," he had said. "You'll see things from a different perspective, and that's going to make all the difference." He was right. The experience has humbled her in ways she never expected. It's opened her eyes to the importance of truly knowing her employees, their struggles, their dreams, and their potential. And it's shown her that, as a leader, her role isn't just to make decisions from the top, it's to serve and support those who are doing the hard work every day. In the coming weeks, Sarah will implement new programs for training, leadership development, and employee recognition. She'll work alongside her team to create a more balanced work environment, one that promotes growth and well-being, not just speed and efficiency. The work will be challenging, but Sarah is ready. She feels more connected to her company than ever before, and the fire inside her to make Sweet Delight a company that truly cares for its employees burns brighter than it ever has. Sweet Delight isn't just about cinnamon rolls, Sarah thinks. It's about the people who make them, and it's time we started treating them as the heart of the business, because without them, there is no company. Sarah knows that it will take time to see the results of the changes she started, but she's confident that with each step, Sweet Delight will become a company where people matter, not just the customers, but the ones who are behind the counter, behind the register, and in the kitchens day after day. The road ahead is filled with challenges, but Sarah feels ready. And for the first time in a long while, she's not just excited about the future of Sweet Delight, she's hopeful about the future of its people. With this new chapter of leadership, Sarah Matthews is committed to making Sweet Delight a company that truly makes a difference, one employee at a time. As Sarah looks out the window of her office, the future feels brighter than it ever has before. This is just the beginning, she thinks. And together, we will create a legacy that's built on respect, growth, and genuine care for the people who make it all happen. And with that thought, Sarah is ready to step forward into the next chapter of her journey as a leader and where the well-being of her employees is just as important as the success of her business. The transformation has begun, and it's only going to get better from here.